Us this morning. How are you, gentlemen?
I'm doing great. How are you?
From the Friends of Tuckman. How are you?
We're better than we've been better, but it costs more.
There you go.
Well, that's what I was trying to say.
The first thing I want to just, in case anybody doesn't know, give an overview of what the Friends of Tuckmans is.
Well, our mission when we started the organization 10 years ago was to be a private sector fundraising organization to help the Forest Service with the lack of funding coming from Washington, and because they're such a little piece of the pie, they sometimes get lost in the budget fights, and there was a lot of things that needed to be done on the mountain that they would have to take away from the management of the place. So we formed the organization with the intent of preserving and protecting the historical recreational uses of Tuckman Ravine for future generations. Like, he grew up on the mountain, and we want his kids to be able to do the same thing that we've done all our lives. So that's how it all got started.
And you've been successful.
Yes, we have, by golly. Yeah, we've got, we put in a well, and we got a new telecommunication system and new computers and first aid supplies for the caches, and we put in a new footbridge working on our off-highway parking, and so things are going well. We got over 800 members now, and
our latest project we're working on and almost complete is replacing the avalanche boards up in Pinkham and Tuckerman and Huntington.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of local companies come out and donated the material and time and put those together, and that's in the final stages.
Well, all of this, of course, costs some money, and so you need some fundraisers to do that. And gosh golly, if you don't have it's a big fundraiser for you, but it's just a big event for the Valley, and that's coming up in April.
Yeah, and the interesting thing that Jake was just talking about is that the Forest Service has given us the old boards as memorabilia, and Zimmerman's, who's just come on board as one of our sponsors, has agreed to host one of the signs, the one that's at Hojo's, and they're going to put it into their store.
Very cool.
Right. And then they're going to have the avalanche report right there on the board and keep the board up, so people, before they drive up into the notch, can stop at Zimmerman's and see the latest. And I have 2 boards left, and I'm looking for a couple of donors that want to preserve those pieces of memorabilia. I'm thinking that the Harvard Outing Club and the Dartmouth Outing Club, because they have such a history on Mount Washington, might like to do that, but so far they haven't chomped at the bit yet.
Come forward. Oh, that's great. But let's go to the Inferno.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Inferno, because we all watched the footage last year.
Yeah.
Hans took some great footage last year. And so let's talk about the Inferno, because that is one of really a premier event.
Yeah, we started that in the year 2000, and that year we brought it over the lip, which I continue to want to do all the time, but because of safety reasons and the more and more people coming up in there, they've moved us over to the left gully, which works great for our race because we're not in the melee of lunch rocks and all of that. So it really has gone well, but I sort of have to always put the knife in and twist it a little with the Forest Service, telling them the lip is what everybody goes up there for.
Right.
But it's a 5-event pentathlon race. It starts at Storyland with they run up and over Glen Ledge Road and out to Attitash Bear Peak, Thorn Pond, jump on the Saco, get in the kayaks and paddle all the way down to Humphreys Ledge, back on the bikes, up and over Glen Ledge again and up to Pinkham, where the hikers hike into Tuckerman, and then the skiers hike up and ski a GS race course down the left gully.
It's just incredible. Now, you can have a 5-person team. or you can do it
individually,
solo.
or you can do it as a 2-person team, where you come up with your own strategy on how to split up the work.
Yeah, I'm getting together with about a 200-person team, so the most I'll do is I go about 10 feet. But, and then now Pete Ostrowski won it last year.
Yes.
In the solo category.
He did.
And just an incredible performance. And it's just an exciting thing to watch. And now, like I'm saying, that's pretty intense there. So if you can't do the Inferno, you also have the Wildcat Wildfire going on the exact same time.
Yeah, 1 hour later.
An hour later.
It's a little easier. We take out the Glen Ledge Hill for the runners and the cyclists, and then the skiers and hikers go up Wildcat instead of going up into Tuckmans. And so a little more recreational. Still a pretty challenging event.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
We're hoping to get a lot more local participation in the ski clubs to come out. And
Right now, we're even working on making that event just a little bit easier because taking them up over Glen Ledge and down the other side, recreational, they're not hardcore folks. And Jake was talking to somebody in a bar the other night, and I think we've got the solution. They just have to get their association group together and vote on it. But I think we're going to have another route for the bike.
For the Wildfire.
For the Wildfire, which was going to make some of those recreational people a little friendlier.
A little happier, a little friendlier.
Yeah.
And that's coming up April 16th, Friday, April 16th.
That's when the thing starts here, the registration starts. They pick up their goodie bags. Race is 7 a.m. in the morning for the Inferno, 8 a.m. for the Wildcat Wildfire.
That's the next day.
Yeah.
Next day on the 17th.
On the 17th.
Yeah, on the 17th.
But that's great. And, of course, the conditions that time of year, you never quite know what you're going to face.
Yeah. You take it like it is.
Exactly.
Last year was probably the most challenging weather that we've run into up there, and because my bibs, banners, and bullshit crew are experts at what they do, they were able to get to the summit and follow the leader all the way across in the fog that you couldn't see, 20 feet in front of you. Got over to the start and then had to take the gates out and move the start down 4 or 5 gates so they could see the next gate. You couldn't have a race if you couldn't see the next gate. And so they worked it out early Saturday morning, got a new start shoveled in, and were able to run the race, but it was boilerplate. And
wow.
We're really a challenge.
But 9 out of 10 years we've had blue sky and perfect weather.
So we're going to cross our fingers for this year.
That's right.
So that's coming up in April. And of course, if anybody wants more information, they can always go to friendsoftuckman.org. Correct. Right there on the website, get all the information that they want. And also, you're talking about a dinner coming up. Yeah, that's going to be, we've got 3 hotels that are bidding on it. And we have a meeting after we leave here over at Flatbreads. The executive board is going to meet and make some going forward decisions. Great. But we're going to call it the Tux dinner, so we can dress up then. So it'll be a big do, and we'll have a big silent auction along with it. And by the way, anybody out there listening to the sound of our voice, be prepared. We're coming around to hit you up again for silent auction items. Coming to see you. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, I want to thank you for coming down. Oh, thank you. We'll probably talk to you again as we get closer to the Inferno time. And again, you can always go to friendsoftuckman.org for all your information. So, Jake, Al, good to see you. Well, thank you. We appreciate RSN always supporting our cause. So.